It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. Titans back on the practice field today in preparation for Week 1 at the New Orleans Saints. Quarterback Ryan Tannehill met with the media earlier today as the Titans offense with Tim Kelly as the play caller will debut. Tannehill discussed how the team plans to utilize tempo with this new offense.
Tempo is a part of what we do. It's something that we can use to try to create an advantage. Get the defense on their heels, go in and out of it. We'll see how much we end up using it this week and following weeks, but it's definitely a tool that we like to keep in our back pocket and be able to use.
AP poll came out yesterday. Tennessee moving up into the top 10 at number 9 after a win over Virginia on Saturday. Head coach Josh Heupel did say today that inside linebacker Keenan Peely is set to miss multiple weeks with an injury, though it is not season-ending. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. What's up, everybody? Special hello to Tyler in the F&M Bake Chat. He says, good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon to you, Tyler. Hey, it's Wednesday afternoon. It's Friday's my favorite. I'm a Wednesday guy. We got into a little bit of this last week discussing this, but halfway through the week, so literally all you Titans fans who are just living and dying and waiting for the clock to tick down to the season opener, man, it's Wednesday. Like it's a downhill run to Sunday at this point. It's a downhill run.
Well, yeah, the Titans, as well as Vol fans, yeah. This is it. This is time. It's go time now. NFL first week.
Mm. Oh, there's game tomorrow night.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What is Chiefs, Lions.
Chiefs and Lions.
Can you imagine this? We're excited to watch the Lions. Not just the Chiefs, but also the Lions. They have an offense that is scoring a lot of points. The defense was horrendous last year. My man Aaron Glenn, who I played with in a couple Pro Bowls, man, quick as lightning too. By the way, A&M graduate, really good dude. I want to see if they're much improved because if their defense improved, they'll win the NFC. What are they in the? Not North, but they're in the whatever it used to be called something else. But the East with Detroit, Chicago, Green Bay, and everybody else are kind of a little bit on the uptick.
Oh, that is the North, yeah.
Yeah, the North. Yeah. Okay, and so I'm excited. I'm gonna watch it for sure tomorrow. But right now, I'm a little nervous about the Titans, and not just the Titans game. This was me as a player. I was always nervous about the first game and a little bit about the second game, just on information and data. And when I say that, I'm talking about when I'm studying my opponent. They could come out here and do some things that I hadn't seen before that I've studied. Whether I look back at where the coordinator was, which he was there last year, or the roots of who he learned everything from, as we were talking to Coach Mack, as far as Sean Payton disciple on offense, being a defensive guy. So when they come out and do something totally different, I was an instinctive player who played off his instincts from watching film. Mm-hmm. And that little bit of hesitation, if I'm unsure, really could hurt you, and I did not like playing like that. And people who play sports at any level, if you have any hesitation, that split second can kind of destroy you, especially in the secondary, right?
Right.
So, so I never liked that. So, I was a real big proponent on believing what I see and react quickly like I was fast as lightning. Well, that fast as lightning was my edge. Mm-hmm. And if I didn't have my edge going into the first game, I really felt like I was just, a good player, but not the way I wanted to be and playing fast. So you always, you want to be secure. So you have to stay into actually what Vrabel said, stay into your fundamentals, your keys and reads, and play it straight up like you've never studied them, at least initially, to see what's their plan of attack against your defense or against your offense. And then you all of a sudden at halftime realize, okay, this is what they're doing. This is what we're going to do. And sometimes you make adjustments, sometimes not, and just say, hey, look for this, or you can help out here, being a defensive back. So that was always the first game. And it never dictates how good a team is because there's always a little bit of surprise.
Oh, Wiz, if you gave him a full year to prepare, he could beat anybody in game one. It's just rough for the next 15.
I would feel comfortable, but it was like, oh, man, just because it was the first game and all the excitement and the adrenaline rush and people making mistakes because of all of that. So, you just, so the first game you want to get out the way really, really quick. Usually for me, week 3, I get 3 weeks of film study, and now I can go out here and just play like I've watched you years.
What about when you throw into the added mix here? It's the Saints. They have
Without Kamara.
Without Alvin
That's
Kamara.
another one.
But different quarterback. So you could go study him somewhere else, but then you have to study the Saints offense. How do you mix that potion together?
Well, that is very interesting because I would still study just the coordinator because the quarterback, he was in a West Coast offense, where it was quick hitting and everything else. Maybe some tendencies you find when you played them before, but it's really just the offense. It's not like necessarily the quarterback. Now, he's going to have more different favorite guys he likes to, throw to, but I'm studying the offense because it's still going to be this. That's the one thing I can rely on that won't change is the coordinator and what he likes to do. Now, the quarterback may like to go somewhere else and design certain plays or his checks and what he would check to because of, new year, new quarterback. So, but that does make a difference being that the quarterback is there, but I can't rely on what he did somewhere else and different offense to a certain extent. And will he still be that player? He could come out and you could say, oh man, he's really not a deep ball thrower, right? He'll throw it here or there. Well, he can come out in this game and throw deep because he feels like he has better weapons or he feels more comfortable in the offense or more comfortable with the organization that they're backing him and they're supporting him. And he doesn't feel like he will make a mistake. And if he does, I may get yanked or I may have to answer these questions about this and that. And all quarterbacks are thinking one step ahead of all the other players. So to your point, different quarterbacks have tendencies, but more so it's the offensive scheme and the system. So that was interesting. You asked that question because Gruden came down this summer in training camp while they were practicing, who was his former coordinator. Everybody knows who Gruden's is. And that was kind of different for me to see that. And why was he there?
Why was he there?
Like, did they call him and say come, or did Derek Carr ask him to come down and tell him some things that you like to do in your offense, and maybe they implement a little bit of that? See, you just, to your point, see, it's still a little bit of maybe Gruden came and gave him a little splash of what he does to help Carr feel comfortable. See, so that's why that first game, boy, I would be really uncomfortable with this game just because of the Gruden factor, coordinator, new quarterback, all of that. I have to play everything straight up, and I can't, I got to go by my reads and keys and can't be, let's say, freelancing a little bit, knowing that I can make a play because I know what they like to do. Familiarity is no different if you're playing the Texans, Jaguars, the Colts. You know what they like to do, so you kind of lean on certain things. You can't do that in this game, and it's an unfamiliar opponent too, so play them all the time.
Do you ever remember, because you played 10 years, do you remember an opener where a team you studied for whatever reason came out and threw the most different stuff at you? Like, what in the world are these guys doing?
Oh, man, I don't remember. It was a lot of teams. I don't know if it was the opener, but it can happen even in the middle of the season.
Right. If somebody hasn't seen it, right.
So, in the end of the season, the beginning of the season, because especially if the team has nothing to lose. So, you're talking about reverse pass, back, and just craziness. So not any team in particular, really.
Because you've always said teams do what they do. They may have three or four plays, but they run what they run.
Once the season goes going after week 3, they do.
Yep.
They may add 10 plays, and they may not even run them, but, they'll give you a formation, see how you'll line up to it or make adjustments to it. No. Here's what I can say, not naming a team, but a team who was a run-dominant team for whatever reason, just like it could be just like how the Titans are on our defense.
Right.
They're a great run-stopping defense. They were number 1 or 2 or whatever it was, right? They come out and just spread us out and start just dinking and dunking us all over the place. Boom, 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 sharp passing game. You go, dang it. They didn't show any of this. Maybe like right before a half or something, but yeah. And so then you get unsettled as a defense. Because you can't really stop them. They're just dinking and dunk 5, 2, 5, 7, down. Like, dang, what are they doing? Why do they? And so then they're trying to loosen you up. So then they come back with the hammer. Bang. They start running out after the first drive. They then come back to who they are. But it gets you unsettled and makes you feel some kind of way. about how you're going to go about making plays. Because as a safety, I'm always looking to find, okay, I'm going to hang my hat on 3 formations and plays I know they're going to run. It is no way, no how. This is who they are, and this is what they want to do. And then I just take it away. I'm going to take it away when it impacts me. So it's always I just never you can go like the Bengals in the first game in '99. I mean they spread out and threw it right in the yard. Well, the year before Dylan rushed for 250 of them. Like 250. He rushed for 250 of them. I thought they were gonna come out I formation, run downhill.
Like, what is this?
Well, next I'm running around chasing Darnay Scott, Carl Pickens.
Yeah, no thanks.
And I was just like Tony McGee, tight end. They had some good players, good skilled players. So I was exhausted.
So how do you, during the course of a game, then adjust to something completely different?
Well, that's when you rely on your coaches, your position coaches, as well as your whoever the coordinator is on whatever side of the ball you're on, offense or defense. Then you come to the sideline. Once you get a stop, this is what they're doing. This is what we're going to do. And then sometimes they're asking you, especially when you become a veteran player in this league, 5 years as a starter or more probably, or 3 years, now, and say, hey, what did you see out there? And you tell them this and that, and then say, okay, well, we're going to do this, or no, keep doing this, because we're seeing up top there's some other things that, we can't stop, so you got to play it straight up and honest. So that's when you really rely on your coaching staff, position group coaches, as well as your coordinators to really help you out, because that's why they put people up there. They're supposed to tell you what they see, and also sometimes not about the play that happened. It's like, they're setting up this. Hey, you drove that dig and you got deep post. Well, hey, man, they ran a post behind you. They're going to come back to that. It may not be next series. They're going to come back to that because they saw it just like we saw it. Stay back. Stay back. A dig's not going to hurt us. Come up, rally, make the tackle. See, stuff like that, yeah. So that it's kind of
How much does this get you excited, though?
Oh, you see me getting excited about it?
I can tell.
You see?
You're playing the game.
Yeah, and I love playing the game. I love playing the game because as a player, you're playing the game. And I was never – I felt like I was – I don't know what to say. I thought I was a great player, but I didn't thought I was an elite level athlete. Like some of these guys are just off the charts.
Right.
So I never, like they talk about, oh, man, let's bait him. Bait? Dude, I'm taking this out. If he throw here, he going to throw it right at my chest. Boom. Right. And I'm going to have to drop it for me not to get it. I don't have time for baiting. Bait? Dude, who are you?
Right.
Wait, are you Deion Sanders out here, man? So, I'm just taking it away. So sometimes I would just take it away, and then the coach, the quarterback pumps it, then, now to get a sack, or he goes somewhere else, or he throws it in the dirt. Mm-hmm. I wasn't a bait guy. That just didn't appeal to me. I tried that one time. No, that does not work for me. Yeah, so I'm taking it away. And that was probably still a corner in me that, hey, I'm going to just eliminate this. Mm-hmm. So, especially the guys are so good. And then, sometimes I'm guarding a tight end or, they always going to push and they're never going to call it. And
sure. So,
bait was never – that was funny, though, when guys are like, no, I'm going to bait him to throw. I said, okay, you go ahead and bait. I'm taking it away. I don't have time. As soon as I see number 2 go out, I know one's coming inside, and I'm going to take this slant. Bang. Mm-hmm. It's the combination. So, but it takes you a while to get to that point, though, to be honest. You have to be really comfortable and have to have a lot of experience out there. I would probably say it took me 3 to 5 years to understand schemes and systems as far as passing game systems, like how it works and functions. The run game was easy because that's kind of what our defense was built around, and I had to learn that quickly, or I wouldn't have been out there.
Right. You would have been selling insurance in Central Indiana.
Yeah. So the passing game and the intricate parts of it was really fascinating to me once I understood how they like to approach it. And then, our defense. And that's another thing. Your scheme and system, you can go watch film and see them run their offense. Then you go, well, that defense is not like our defense. They play totally different than we do. Mm-hmm. So we're a blitzing scheme defense, and they played zone. Will they run the same thing? They have variations to it based off of your style of play. So you got to then find in film a defense that's somewhat similar to yours and see how they approach that defense. Like, Coach Mack, I didn't know this when we asked him yesterday, is that the DC, there's the disciple of Greg Williams. No wonder they blitz a lot. I didn't even know. I knew they blitzed a lot, but I'm like, oh, okay. And I mean, he'll throw all kind of different blitzes at you. Zone blitzing schemes, man blitzing schemes, different guys, 3-4, 4-3. I have you like, man, what are they doing? Right. So, so to that point, I think our offense, if they don't start off fast, it could get ugly real quick with that Saints defense, and we all know that Saints defense is legit.
It is legit. I'll tell you who else is legit. John Brice. He's legit talking about college football. And he
got
will
me
do
going
that. I love it. We'll do this more of that, too. But John Brice, join us next. We'll talk some college football.
That's how I was thinking out there, too.
Lady Mickey 1045 The Zone. Some good football talk on the show today and every day. We appreciate you hanging out with us. We'll switch, though. We'll pivot from week 1 in the NFL to week 2 in college football. With our man John Brice of Football Scoop. Brice, let me ask you this. Just last week was a lot of fun. First of all, how are you doing? Let's start there.
Doing well, man. It's a football season, and I presently have my head above water. So, that's a positive.
Well, I don't know.
Two very great things. So I will ask you this because there are some teams who don't have their head above water as we go into week 2. What was the biggest surprise for you in the first week of college football?
You know, it would probably be twofold. How terrible Clemson looked, especially in the second half, and how much of it was self-destruction. And how cleanly and efficiently Colorado played. So those would be my two biggest. Probably a little more surprised at Colorado because it's such a dramatic roster overhaul and transformation, and a bunch of dudes that not just were in a new program, but that never played FBS football before. And they were they didn't just win the game. I've made this point on the Football Scoop podcast. They were the least penalized team among those two. They committed fewer turnovers. They were just superior from coaching all the way down.
So Dion, he read his receipts, and they expended all that energy, and it was just a wild day. And like you said, the guys, his son set a passing record at Colorado, and then you got the two-way player who played great both ways. How long can they sustain like this? They got some tough games coming up in the Pac-12, the last year of the Pac-12.
Yeah, they've got a tough one coming up this week against Nebraska, a team that I thought looked really well coached. They don't have the same firepower as Colorado or quite the same explosiveness, but Nebraska looked like the better coached team to me than Minnesota last weekend on the road, and Nebraska just committed, I think, 4 turnovers, including a couple of really catastrophic ones when they had a chance to cement control of the game and then still kick a game-ending winning field goal or have that opportunity. So, yeah, the tough tests start for them this week, but there's a lot of teams in the Pac-12 that don't look as explosive as Dion and company. So I think, I'm not going to sit here and say I expect Colorado to suddenly be a 10-win team, but now I do believe that Colorado has a chance to be a bowl team this year.
John Brice, John D. Brice 1, that is his handle on Twitter, Football Scoop, where you can read his stuff.
Well, I watched the Dabo game in Clemson and Duke, and congratulations to Duke. But, man, where does it go wrong offensively? I know we could talk about the turnovers, but I think the last 3 games, I don't know if they've scored 14 points or more in those games. And one of those games is the bowl game versus Tennessee.
Yeah, they've just been really disjointed at the quarterback position. I don't think, and the recruiting rankings bear this out, they're not the same Clemson at the skill positions that we're accustomed to. Now, Will Shipley is a really, really nice player. I like him. He does a lot of great things, but he cannot do it by himself. They don't have an Amari Rogers or a Jordan Ross or a T. Higgins out there on the perimeter anymore to open up wider running lanes for their running backs and to mask the fact that I think they're just a nice but not elite offensive line at the collegiate level. And here's the other thing. If I'm not mistaken, each of their past 2 recruiting classes have been ranked in around 12 to 15, and that's not getting enough difference makers. 12 to 15 means you're going to be in the top 12 to 15 most often, but you're going to get exposed at times. And I think that Duke did a good job of being more physical, and I thought Duke, frankly, looked like the fresher team in the fourth quarter. And certainly, again, you can point to coaching and all of those elements in that Duke committed fewer turnovers.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The coaching was superb there, doing a great job. Do you think Dabo will change his philosophy on the TP, transfer portal, that is?
I think you've got to. I know my buddy there in Nashville, Alan Bell, tweeted this out. I'd made the comment last fall, actually, that right now, to me, Dabo Swinney is at the Philip Fulmer juncture of his career, and he has to decide if he is going to enhance and get better, and I think he's tried to do that, at least on the surface level, by going out and hiring Garrett Riley, but then he's got to be more flexible in some other things. They need to be not only more proactive in NIL, but they need to publicize that they're being more proactive in NIL. They need to be more proactive in the transfer portal. And another thing that Dabo's done for a really long time is that if guys are committed to Clemson, they are not allowed to visit anywhere else during the recruiting process. And if they do, their scholarship offer is rescinded and they're no longer considered a Clemson recruit. And, that worked for him for a while. I would say that it's been working less and less for him the last several years. And Clemson has definitely slipped, in my opinion. I thought going into the year that Clemson was a tad overrated. I'm still not remotely sold on the University of Kentucky. Obviously, LSU was a bit overrated from how they performed this last week. Yeah, Clemson's got real issues it has to address, and it starts with recruiting and the transfer portal, to your point.
Well, the SEC naturally is the best conference in football, and they went 0-3, against AP-ranked opponents. What were your thoughts on some of those losses? Granted, they had some big wins against some, lesser opponents, and some of the top 10, 25 teams. What are your thoughts on the SEC?
Yeah, I thought South Carolina laid an egg. I thought that you could look at the second halves of South Carolina. I know Clemson's not an SEC team, but to me, you could look at the second half performances of South Carolina, LSU, and Clemson and find a lot of troubling things from all three of those, and I would contend similarities from all three of those, and then all three of those teams lost games that I thought, quite frankly, they should have won. Florida is still very early in Billy Napier's work there. They had an inexcusable penalty that I think forever turned that game around when they got a procedure penalty because not only did two guys have the same jersey number, but they were on the field at the same time, and that gave Utah a first down instead of punting. Utah punched that in, I believe, to take a 14-3 lead, and the game was never again the same. Florida is the difference there. They went on the road and played a veteran team in its home environment and was an underdog. South Carolina, I think, was basically a pick-em game, and LSU was favored just as Clemson was.
I really thought in that Florida-Utah game, I thought they got really beat in the trenches, which was really shocking to me. You not view it that way? Because I could have saw it differently. Utah just looked like they were more prepared, and they knew that they could beat them based off of the year before where they lost a close one.
Well, I thought Utah certainly looked like the more physical team. I think that ties into the fact that Utah is arguably the most established program in college football. Certainly what Whittingham has done since he's been there as head coach, but I visited with that program this summer, and that was when I realized that Whittingham has actually been on staff there for 30 consecutive years.
Wow.
There's not stability like that literally anywhere else in college football. And then he's got one of the best strength and conditioning coaches in the country. And so, they were a better, more physical, deeper team. I think that ties into it. What bothered me about Florida, Blaine, was very similar to what bothered me about Clemson. I did not think Florida had flashes of dynamic players and athleticism. They didn't have a lot of it, and they particularly did not have a lot of it on the defensive side of the ball. They had some guys that looked like they had good frames and good motors, but they didn't have elite athleticism. And if you're getting out-athleted by a Utah team that I think is a dark horse playoff contender, then you're certainly going to get out-athleted once you get deeper into SEC competition.
We're on with John Brice with Football Scoop.
Brice, let's say that this season just bottoms out for Billy Napier in Florida, like bad. I don't know if it will, but let's say that it does. Florida has 32 million reasons, I read, to keep him around. How hot do you think is his seat based on that amount of money? And apparently it doesn't go down much in the coming years, and there's no offset language either.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sitting here ready to say that one game into his second tenure, so I guess 14 total games in, that Billy Napier's on the hot seat, because I think people know that Dan Mullen's recruiting had really bottomed out and that was much more of a rebuild there than people from the outside maybe realize. Now, look, if they're competitive and they lose games the way they did against Utah, that's one thing. If Florida stacks a whole slew of embarrassing losses on its schedule, then that makes it a completely different equation.
Are you surprised at how things are going as poorly as they are at my alma mater with one Butch Jones?
Butch Jones.
Yeah, I am, when you consider that much earlier in his coaching career, Butch Jones, I think, took a Cincinnati team to Oklahoma, and Oklahoma had to kick a last-minute field goal to win that game. And now you see Butch Jones broken down on the sideline, emotional, and on the heels of the worst loss. I noted this week on Football Scoop, the worst loss in the history of the program.
Yeah.
Previously, Arkansas State had lost like 70-14 to LSU in maybe 1991. This is far and away the worst loss, and it's a much more developed Arkansas State program at this time. Butch has lost some good coaches since he got to Arkansas State. I think that's been harmful for him, and I don't think that and he lost one of the best recruiting personnel directors in all of college football earlier this year to North Carolina State. So Butch had surrounded himself with some good people. They have left, and now there's a great void because of that. And this is an absolute make-or-break year for Butch Jones, not just at Arkansas State, but in the big picture.
And the crazy thing is, my friends who are Tennessee grads and Alabama and, big school grads are all saying, why don't you guys just fire him? A, they just extended him. B, schools like Arkansas State, they don't have buyout money. I mean, he's going to be there for a minute unless somebody wins the lottery.
Yeah, but they have to show progress, and they have to show tangible progress because, look, it's a new AD, as you well know, so it's not the same person that hired Butch that's running things, and I think that always dramatically changes the equation. You also can look at, money is a factor, but how much does that money become an even greater factor if you don't make a move because it's a certain number, but you continue to lose interest, resources, revenues, all of those things. So I don't think it's a simple A plus B equals C formula. He's got to show progress on the field this year. I think it's make or break.
Yeah, he sure does. And there's a lot of those other things you mentioned that are quickly leaving the program. John Brice, our guest, at John D. Brice 1. He is with Football Scoop on Twitter.
Yes. Yeah, John, I know we're not going to go push the panic button. I know you talked about Napier, but are there some coaches just even coming into the season, if they don't fare well this season, could be their last year they're coaching? Anybody you seeing out there already that's like, I don't know, or we're just not even at that point where you can even say anything like that?
No, I think we're absolutely at that point. Look, that's the nature of college football. We've been seeing coaches getting fired or parting with their universities. Even during the pandemic year, we had a September firing at the University of Southern Mississippi. And we've had, I believe, September firings each of the past 2 years since then, maybe multiple September firings each of the past 2 years since then. We've already referenced Butch Jones. I don't think that's a great mystery. He is 100% on the hot seat this season. I think that you would have to say Jeff Hafley at Boston College, and I think Hafley's a really good coach. I'm surprised at his struggles there. But to lose to Northern Illinois at home in the opener, I think that Hafley has certainly positioned himself behind the eight ball at Boston College. I think Tom Allen has continued in a wrong direction at Indiana after he had done some really great things at that program in 19 and 20 and faced Tennessee in a bowl game in one of those years, a good bowl game, the Gator Bowl game one of those years. But they have slipped markedly since then. They looked as bad on offense last week as Iowa looked all last year on offense. And anybody who knows that knows that hurts the vision of a blind person. And so they were really, really bad on offense last week. Tom Allen is one I fully believe, like I just said. Hafley is one. Butch Jones is one. Neil Brown at West Virginia, there was so much chatter about him last year. They hung with Penn State for a while, but they lost that game by about 3 touchdowns. He's absolutely in a make-or-break year. Justin Wilcox at California, I'm not saying he's completely on the hot seat. And California people, I don't know how much they even care about college football. They got a great win last week at North Texas. A lot of people, including some folks on ESPN Game Day last weekend, picked North Texas as their upset special of the week, and Cal won that game running away. Cal has another huge opportunity game this week at Auburn. But those are the ones that I'm probably monitoring the most closely right now. And then there's a handful of MAC programs, as you well know, Blaine, hearkening back to your roots. But it's an important year for Miami of Ohio. It's an important year for a number of those MAC programs.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. Well, on a good note, man, what did you think of University of Houston's throwback Oiler jerseys that they wore, man? I was like, whoa, wait a minute now.
Yeah, I thought they were. I thought they were absolutely epic. I thought they were some of the dopest alternate uniforms I've seen in college football last year or this year. I'm fired up to see Kansas's blackout uniforms this week. They're going back to like a 1945 Jayhawks logo that's really cool looking, and they host Illinois on Friday night. That's a game that, honestly, I'm looking forward to watching, and I would have never thought I would look forward to watching Illinois and Kansas in anything except men's basketball, but that's the case. So I love those Houston Cougars jerseys, not to make a bunch of your listeners mad, but I thought they were far more apropos for that team than the alternate jerseys that the Tennessee Oilers Titans are going to wear this year.
No, they ain't throwing shade. I hear you over John Brice. One more good, I guess fun type question. That is, what coach after a win or a loss, probably mostly loss, was speaking tomfoolery at the presser? Who stood out? And there were some.
Yeah, there were a bunch. I mean, it's hard for me to look beyond Shane Beamer coming
hot dogs
about not having post-game stats and saying they couldn't try an onside kick because the chain gang was late to set up. It's because they were eating hot dogs. I just thought that both of those were unnecessary shots. I do want to say real quickly, also tying back into your audience, that Eddie George and Tennessee State were here in South Bend, my home base, last weekend. And I not only got to go to the game on Saturday, but I got to go to a symposium that Coach George participated in Friday at the Mendoza School of Business at Notre Dame. And he was on a panel with Neil Ivey, the Notre Dame women's basketball coach, Derek Mays, the former Notre Dame All-American.
Oh, yeah. He was my Little League teammate.
Yeah. Oh, I thought I'm friends with Derek. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Ask him about that. By the way, I was in the 8th grade. He was so good. He was in the 6th grade.
Awesome. But and then Tom Mendoza, the namesake and a wildly successful businessman. I could not have been more impressed with Coach George. I wrote about it on Football Scoop. He outlined a lot of his leadership priorities and principles. This is not a shameless plug for my story. It's a shameless plug for how impressed I was with Coach George and the way he articulated his vision. But I was so impressed with their operations and their outfit Friday and Saturday, and just the way they represented TSU and HBCUs. I thought it was awesome. Shout out to Mickey Allen, who's doing some great things with that university. So I do want to leave you guys with that. That was one of the best things I saw all weekend.
No doubt about it. Former teammate, I expect nothing less. All right, what big matchup, marquee matchup are you going to be watching this week? Think everybody should tune into?
I mean, yeah, obviously Alabama, Texas is a huge one. It's very interesting. I've talked to some people down at Texas. There's certainly a belief there. They feel like they let one get away last year in Austin. They absolutely feel like they can win that game this week in Tuscaloosa. So that one is of great interest to me. I think it's a huge game. You could argue a crossroads game for Texas A&M at Miami. That game is far more important, in my opinion, for Texas A&M than it is Miami. Now, look, Miami struggled far beyond what I expected a year ago under Mario Cristobal, but much like Billy Napier, this is just the second game of his second year. This is when Jimbo Fisher is supposed to have Texas A&M firmly entrenched as an annual college football playoff contender. That has not been the case. They looked much better on offense last week, but it was against a dreadful New Mexico team. Can they sustain that this week? So those are two of the ones that really highlight for me. And then I would say don't sleep on Furman giving South Carolina a hell of a game Saturday night at Williams-Brice Stadium.
Woo. Yeah. Hey, great stuff, JB. At John D. Brice 1 on Twitter, follow him there. Of course, a bunch of the stuff he referenced today, all at footballscoop.com. You can read it all. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, boys. I'm going to tweet that Eddie George leadership story out at you guys, and maybe you can help promote it as well.
We'll drop it right back out on our timeline for sure. Thank you. All right, we'll go from John Brice, who is a fantastic guy covering college football, to the Titans have not one, not two, not three, not four, five, six, but 7 captains, including one dude who got to that job really quickly. We'll tell you about that next. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone, team captains for the Tennessee Titans. Quarterback, Ryan Tannehill. Running back, Derrick Henry. They've been captains. Safety, Kevin Byard. No surprise. Defensive lineman, Jeffrey Simmons. Linebacker, Azeez Al-Shire. Dude just got here. Hey, man, we like what you do.
Z's.
Blaine, I like that dude a lot.
Oh, no, he triggers. Boy, that was a great find. That was definitely a Rand Carthon insight, on what he was behind two great linebackers. And then when he got to play with some injuries, he showed it, and he hasn't lost a beat here. And, he's a guy that everybody's looking at, too, in the huddle. So I'm not surprised by it, even though it's his first year. And, by the way, he's only on a one-year deal, right? Didn't he sign for 1 year?
It was a short-term deal.
So, but players aren't looking at that. They're looking at who's calling the plays in the huddle. So it's no different than the quarterback. He's the quarterback of the defense, calling the plays, translating the plays. He's got the dot on his helmet. So it's surprising that sound from the outside first year. I'm not surprised that he's going to get a big deal, whether it's here or somewhere else, as long as he stays somewhat healthy. He's a player. Yeah, I got to see him up close and personal in the home preseason game just to see how he was built and how thick he was, and the fire and breaking the linebackers down, his conversation in there. Yeah, I've been there, done that, and it was real. He's definitely a leader.
1 year, $5 million.
Told you.
Yeah.
Oh, he won't be making that. He might as well just put a one in front of that next year at least. Yeah, he gonna be making that Lucas money, man. $15 million per.
Yeah, look, man. I don't know. I mean, I went to every practice, and I've watched the preseason games and watched most all of them, a lot of them twice. And I know we didn't see much of him, but I saw him a lot in practice, and saw he did limited action in the last game that he played. And
that trigger he flashed so fast and hit that guy. Oh, my gosh.
Who was it that Vrabel was talking about? The other two are Morgan Cox. He's the special teams captain.
Long snapper.
And Aaron Brewer, the center. He was chosen as a captain for the first time.
That's impressive.
Very impressive. Who was Vrabel talking about where it's essentially he was trying – this was last year.
Oh.
That he was trying to go around. He was taking the longer – it was one of the linebackers.
With Cunningham? Was it Cunningham?
Maybe it was Cunningham. That he was trying to get around things instead of – just
hitting it.
Instead of just hitting it. I hadn't seen Azeez Al-Shire go around anything.
Oh, no.
Like nothing. He goes through everything to get to whatever he's trying to get to.
I think it was Cunningham. Because I was perturbed in that Giants game. He was running around. I'm going to just say this. I used to call in the meeting when we watch film, and we're just watching secondary, but I would watch everybody when we were watching film. And I used to say that was a selfish player. And the reason why I say that is because you know what gap you're supposed to be in. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it's not meant for you to make the play. And so it's meant for you
to fill the gap.
Right. And then somebody else makes the play. Now, if you want to trigger and run around, you better do that thing real quick. Mm-hmm. So you got a shot at least getting a piece of the guy. If not, then you got to be a sacrificial lamb. That's just how it is on defense. If not, you're making a hole.
Right.
And so I know some people need to go back and look. I'm up here yelling at people, and I'm making a tackle, but I'm up here getting up yelling at my own teammate like, why aren't you staying in your gap? You made this real hard for me. And I had to go make this open field tackle, bro. That ain't fun. Let me bring you back here, and let's switch. Mm-hmm. Let you make this open field tackle on this great dynamic runner. Bro, you better hit that thing and be like, hey, dang, well, I got to get it next time. That wasn't my play. See, that's the part that I don't like that. I don't like that. And it happens. There's players out there that it happens throughout a game. But, bad angle. Well, he shouldn't have never been in a bad angle because someone effed up. That's how I used to be. Like, bro, come on, man. You got to stay in your gap. If you're not, you're going to take a risk, take a chance, be quick, and that way I can play off of you. And that's what your other teammates are saying, too, at the same time.
I think for people who are listening, I think one of the more obvious things is where the guy that's outside contained runs straight at the quarterback or runs past the quarterback or gets all jammed up in the middle. And somebody just goes traipsing around the end. Because that guy just didn't stay in his spot. Oh, that drives me nuts.
Oh, it does. Well, for a while there, it might have been right before Vrabel got here or that first year they were losing contain. I said, that never happens in the NFL. Somebody always has responsibility for contain. That should never happen. Not in the NFL. He should never be able to just run around like he in Little League and just run around and just run by. What? Now, they don't understand the aiming point. The aiming point is always the outside shoulder. You know what they're aiming at? Exactly where he's at, right in the bow of him, right in the middle of him. That is not what happens in the NFL. You got to take angles towards your outside, because if you miss, you want him to then slide inside. Even if he gets back outside, you made him go inside of you, and that way everybody's hauling their butt to the ball and they make a play. So, sometimes you got to live and learn. You can tell them all you want to. You can do all these different drills, but until they get in the game and see the speed of the game, they go, oh, dang, I went to where he was. Yeah, but your angle to tackle him should have been his outside shoulder, though. Because if you miss, you hit him head on. He going to spin out of that thing. Now, sometimes you spin, even a spin or a stutter with his feet helps everybody else out on the defense.
And the NFL guys are so fast. That's all a lot of guys need.
Oh, man, they
close
fast.
Yeah.
And, that's so funny when you watch it on TV. You can't see all of that. You can't even see the impact of a hit, actually, how hard a hit was. I'm like, ooh, he tore him up. And I go back and watch it on TV like, dang, it didn't even look like he hit him that hard on TV. You can't, sitting on the couch, you cannot see the impact of a hit.
I saw it for Jaden Daniels, though. I did see how hard. Oh, man, he's still feeling that. Some great news for all you VFLs. A VFL that you love has had something great happen. We'll tell you what that is next.
That's all they have is greatness.
Blaine and Mickey 104.5 is on the nexus of the sports talk universe. We are there. It's halfway through the week show. Welcome aboard. Big news. If you're a Josh Dobbs fan.
Or Balls fan.
Per rap sheet, yes.
Or even Titans fans because they.
Or Cardinals fan. Because.
Maybe that's why he didn't sign here because they wouldn't name him the number 2.
They ain't naming anybody the number 2. Arizona Cardinals are expected to have Josh Dobbs as their quarterback starter this week with rookie Clayton Tune getting backup reps. They'll evaluate the situation each week, but this is how it begins per Ian Rappaport.
Dang, man. That new GM there, former Titans associate.
The full Monty.
Yeah, Monty, yeah. Wow. So he took what he did. He took it even further than I said. I said he was a guaranteed number 2. Great, 3 or 4 starter year, hold the fort till you get your franchise quarterback. He's saying he's a starter in this league right now, at least till Kyler Murray gets back.
You think he's just pandering to Vols fans? Monty Austin for
I don't think he's thinking that way. I think he's trying to do the best job he can do, and he thinks this is the best decision. Is to go this route.
I think they're just trying to sell some Vols Cardinals merch with this move.
No, nobody in the NFL is thinking about the Vols. Let's just get that out there.
But they should, Blaine. They're spitting in their faces by not
that is not
thinking about that. I still don't understand that. I still don't understand it.
But I tell you one thing, when you start making decisions, and if it's a tie, I'm going to definitely go because I'm thinking about the business side of it. As a GM, if it's a tie and I like 2 players and one went to the Vols, I'm going to go lean to that way. Yeah, no doubt.
Can I just say this? Because there are certain times I feel like I know what's going to happen here. Or I feel like
it's just like if I'm a head coach of the Falcons or GM of the Falcons. If it's a Georgia guy, and somebody
Georgia Tech,
I'm going to go to that guy.
There are just certain situations you watch. I know we've talked about this some, and you think, this seems like such a no-brainer. And keeping Dobbs around, because you could have signed him for probably $1.5 million, $500,000 more than what the minimum is. I think the Browns signed him for $2 million.
$2 million. Mm-hmm.
And you think, did you see how people reacted to him in the locker room? Like, great guy. Like, just fit in the 5 minutes into being here.
Oh, he's an impressive person, though, period.
He is. And that he had never, Malik Willis had played more football than Dobbs. That's a true story. He had played more snaps.
As a starter in the NFL. Not preseason, but regular season. Yeah.
And he
looked like you.
And he looked like a guy who, you could really develop this.
Oh, no, he looked like he had started some NFL games. I meant regular season, significant games.
The thing that struck to me most about him was sometimes if a guy hasn't played much, he'll be hesitant. He had no hesitation.
Yeah, and that's what I love.
He's throwing out routes, and he's throwing whatever they ask. Okay.
In a matter of a 2 weeks.
He was just throwing. If you had said to me, $1,000, Josh Dobbs is the backup quarterback of this team next year, or, him and Malik.
Next year, yeah. After
some kind of mix. Mike Vrabel even talked about him like he was part of the team. I would have said, heck yeah, man, give me your $1,000. Nope. Nope.
Yeah, I was stunned. I was really more stunned. I thought that, the Browns gave him more money, that's too much for a backup. They gave him, $5 million.
But it wasn't that, was it?
It was $2 million.
It was $2 million.
Oh, so that was the insight to their thought process that they were going to get a quarterback again.
Yep.
Because there's no way, based off the season, they thinking Malik Willis was the guy, based on how he played. And there's no way that they thought he was going to improve as much as he improved either. And they did. They went quarterback. And they traded to get it. And then they lost out on not 1, not 2, but 3 balls. Because then you couldn't pick a wide receiver.
Because both of those guys got picked between that and their next pick.
Yeah. So, I really thought Tillman was going to be a tight just because he looked like what they like. And that's Coach Moore, their former, wide receiver in the league, and he's a big, strong guy. And he likes those long, tall wide receivers. And he fit the bill. And he had speed. I mean, he was a good player. I mean, he might have went even higher if he hadn't got injured with a high ankle sprain. So, yeah, but, you win some, you lose some. That's how it goes. So many players to pick, but that Dobbs decision was a no-brainer for me. I guess they felt like we better try to get a quarterback now instead of waiting till later. And by the way, man, people are talking about that it's going to be like 5 to 10 quarterbacks going the first round.
Oh, there's people talking about
I'm
this like
whoa.
1983 again. Lucas doesn't remember that, but the 83 class, Elway and Tony Eason, and there were all these dudes.
Todd Blackledge
out of Penn State that went to Kansas City and now eats like hamburgers on TV.
What was that called, that segment? Oh, it was so good. Every time. It was when he was paired with Brad Nessler, I think.
He ate at Litton's when he was in Knoxville for one of the games. He had the bacon cheeseburger, which
like Taste of the Town or
smashed
something.
It was that was it. It was something like that.
Watch this. I'm gonna put Lucas on the spot. Name as many
Marino.
quarterbacks you
Scary.
can from college that you think are potential first rounders. Now, some of them are guaranteed to Caleb, of course, but you could say them. But how many do you think there's possibly?
Active college quarterbacks.
Yes.
Are you talking about that are
coming
going
out.
to be eligible for this
This
upcoming
year.
draft?
Mm-hmm. Whether they're juniors or seniors. Yes.
Potential first rounders. The obvious is Caleb Williams, right? And Drake May.
Right, from North Carolina.
I think Michael Penix, if he continues to
from
have,
Washington.
I mean, he got off to a really
Former
nice
IU
start to his
guy there,
season.
Bucky.
Yeah, that's right. Indiana transfer. First rounders. Is Bo Nix a guy that is considered to have the measurables, the athletic ability of a first round pick at
See how the
quarterback?
narrative changed from when he was at Auburn
really
to now
has.
at Oregon. Like
It's
now
completely
you watch
flipped.
me go, oh dang, it's really weird. I don't know, but a lot of them, that's why I was trying to see if you could name them.
I think
I'm like,
you maybe have to put. You don't have to put Joe Milton in there, but if
Joe Milton has a good season, somebody's
don't
going to
know.
go, this guy can throw the ball 90
Exactly.
yards.
yeah,
It's-
and
it's
then
the-
he helped on his accuracy, his touch. He's going to have the numbers the offense is going to show. I think potentially, even if it's late first round, I think you got to put him on the list. Absolutely.
Are there any others I haven't named that?
I know he had
like
a bad
first
outing,
round.
but I mean,
The kid from Texas, Quinn Ewers.
Quinn
A lot of
Ewers.
people really high on him.
what about Rattler? No.
Yeah, I don't. It's
Exactly,
not
but-
there for me with Spencer.
Right. Not actually now, but potentially.
What about this dude from Florida State?
Right.
Jordan
I
Travis.
like
That
him.
dude, hey,
He's
man.
been starting for a while there,
He
too. Yeah, I
was-
like him. What's Travis? What's his name, Travis?
Jordan Travis.
Jordan Travis.
Yeah, he's really fun to watch.
Yep.
Jaden Daniels.
LSU.
Yeah. He's on the list. I mean,
He's on the list.
Yeah, potential for first round guys. I mean, if Alabama quarterback, if he shows that he can be consistent as a passer, hey man, I think the sky's the limit. We talking about another super duper big, strong armed, athletic runner, thrower. I think potentially he could be. If we're gonna put Joe Milton on there, to me, we have to put him on there.
Yeah.
Now he's not in the same system and probably won't be as consistent as Milton, but I think he's on the list. It's a lot of them out there that a lot of people are saying, and I'm like, man, I thought this was going to be a down quarterback year.
How about Riley Leonard getting some love in the F&M Bank?
Right.
chat?
From
Brandon
Duke.
Rushing, yeah. I sure liked watching him the other
Oh,
night.
oh,
He
oh,
got
wait.
no slack from his teacher, though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Did not get that
Duke is
extension.
not messing around.
No,
What?
man, sorry. Hey,
Matter of fact, we're going to even turn it up. You got to be earlier.
Hey,
now.
his
Yeah.
teammates got it in on time,
right,
according
the
to
lineman.
professor.
Yeah.
So
I'd go to my lineman and be like, hey, man, don't turn in your homework
I
next
think
time.
I'm with the professor on that one. If your teammates got it in, you got to get it.
Yeah, they nuts and bolts you. Yeah. What about DJ? Over at
DJ
Oregon State, I know it was just one game, but he
Uyunglele.
already accomplished more than he ever accomplished at Clemson.
5 total touchdowns in week 1.
He's quarterback sized.
Yeah.
J.J. McCarthy from Michigan is another guy that people are saying look out for him.
Marcus says KJ Jefferson at Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Yeah, I put him on the list. Absolutely. If he stays healthy, does their season look different from last year? Yeah. I mean, it's all going to weed itself out, but I think when you start having these indicators that says, okay, some of these guys potentially, they probably top 3 rounds, and the list will get smaller as far as first rounders. But yeah, man.
Be some guys that would have been first rounders in a class like Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis's, right? That won't be this year because of how deep it is.
Great point. What about the kid from Mississippi State?
Will Rogers. Yeah, this is a year for him to prove that it's not just the air raid offense.
system,
That he's
right.
not just padding stats because he played for Mike Leach.
The other guy that's interesting to me, and he's still there, and they have a game against Ole Miss this weekend, is Pratt from Tulane. He had a good season last year.
I like him.
He's 6'3". I mean, he's quarterback size. He's an interesting dude.
Well, Toon went there too. So what round did Toon go in? Later, like fifth?
Clayton Toon.
I don't remember where he went. I thought he would go higher. Like I thought he was a mid-round, third.
He was a 5th-round pick.
Yeah, fifth round. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Out of Houston.
Oh, out of Houston, right? Okay. Out of Houston, yeah. Oh, thought he was in Tulane.
Let's take this call real quick from Tony, who wanted to talk about Aziz Al-Shire. Then when we come back, we'll talk some more football with our man Jordan Dajani. But first with Tony from Nashville. What's up, Tony?
Tony.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's happening?
Tell us.
Y'all remember me from way back?
Oh,
Puncture
yeah.
Lung Tony.
Oh, yeah, Puncture Lung Tony. I know who you were.
Baby.
Yes, sir. the PLT.
But Blaine, just to back up what you were saying, is that our son, when he was playing football in high school, when he became a senior, then he became a starter, but he got a lot of playing time when he was a junior. But we was playing this team, and you'll know who it is in a minute. And we just scored in the fourth quarter, and we went up by 5. So we kicked the ball off, so we stopped them on their 19-yard line. We only had about 20 to 30 seconds to go in the game. So my son, he's playing defensive end, but really it's an outside linebacker. Mm-hmm. But anyway, he's out there. The quarterback puts the ball in the fullback's belly and rides him down. Then my son bites down the line, something you shouldn't do. So evidently they saw that up in the bench. So next time he put it in his belly, pulled it out, pitched it to the tailback, and he went right around the end and broke containment.
Oh, my. Yeah, that happens in high school for sure all the time. Everybody's looking at the quarterback and the ball. Everybody.
But then when we got ready to go, I'm sitting there listening to the age-old speech. We come as a team, we lost as a team, blah, 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 blah. So when we get in the truck and we're on the way back home, I said, son, I'm going to tell you something, and it's going to get you upset. But if you listen to me, you won't make that same mistake again. Mm-hmm. I said, what position do you play? Mm. He said, defensive end. I said, what is your responsibility as a defensive end? He said, containment. I said, what does containment mean? He said, not to let anybody get outside. And I said, not to let anybody get outside. So after he told me all that, so I asked him, I said, now, if you know all of that, and you explained it to me perfectly, I said, this is the $1 million question. Why would you go for a fake up the middle? Don't they have somebody responsible for the middle?
Yep.
And he sat there and he thought about it for a minute, and look here, he didn't make that mistake no more. Mm-hmm. And the mistake he made, the person he made that mistake on was Fred Lane. You remember Fred Lane?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And look here, when he got a couple steps on you, all you could do is stand back and learn from his technique.
Wow. Hey, Tony, appreciate the call, man. Great hearing from you. Right up against the break, though, because people do lose contain. But NFL, come on, man, don't lose contain. Can't do that. You're a pro now. Can't take that cheese. Let's send some cheese to Jordan Dajani. He will join us next with all the latest NFL storylines. There's a lot to get to. We'll get to all of it next. All right, all you football freaks, get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, that is FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, and that's guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Come with it now. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use, and you can be in on everything from point spreads to player props and so much more. So just visit FanDuel.com/Mickey. and kick off the NFL season with an offer you don't want to miss. MICKEY. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. You must be 21 or older, present in Tennessee. First online roll money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. NFL Sunday ticket offer ends 9/18/23. No refund. Blaney Mickey 1045 The Zone. It is week 1 of the NFL season. Call your friends. Call your friend Jessica. Tell her. Call your friend Jordan Dajani. Tell him. CBS Sports own Jordan Deany. JD, it's week 1 of the NFL season. How in the world are you feeling, man?
Baby, I am jacked. I am excited. I'm ready for tomorrow night. I'm ready for Sunday. I'm ready for Sunday night, Monday night. I am ready for the 2023 NFL season, and it is a pleasure to join you guys on the airwaves this fine Wednesday afternoon.
Yes, sir. Hey, this story just dropped. Chris Jones said if you sign him today, he can play tomorrow. What's going to happen with this dude?
I mean, I believe him. I believe if the Chiefs got a deal done with Chris Jones that he would absolutely suit up for tomorrow night. But how likely is that? I mean, that's the question, right? According to reports, he wants something around $30 million, right, a year. And I think he's getting $20 million this year. It's the final year of his deal. And the Chiefs GM, Brett Veach, has come out and said, you know what, Chris Jones is one of the best players on our team, one of the best players in the NFL. He is absolutely deserved of a new lucrative contract. But here's the thing, guys. We're entering the 11th hour, and if a deal hasn't got done yet, it's hard to imagine that one's going to get done in the next 12, 24, whatever it may be, hours. So right now it feels like he's not going to play, but I wouldn't rule anything out. This is the NFL. It's unpredictable, baby.
What about Bosa? What are you going to do with him?
No, Bosa's a very interesting case. I got to tell you, we've talked about this on your show before, all right? And you talk about a situation escalating quickly, because I thought a deal would have been done by now, right? I think it's been decided that he was going to be the new highest paid pass rusher in the NFL. But there's a bit of a holdup here that maybe the 49ers weren't exactly ready to deal with. TJ Watt's making $28 million per year, and reports indicate that the 49ers in negotiations have already gone over $30 million when it comes to Bosa's new contract. But Bosa's trying to pass none other than Aaron Donald, who makes $31.66 million per year. And according to Ian Rappaport, it's getting a bit convoluted because there was this $5 million roster bonus that Aaron Donald got when he decided to not retire. And it sounds like Bosa's camp is trying to factor that in when it comes to their new deal. When it comes to his status of his holdout, though, this is where it gets fascinating, because Ian Rappaport has said that the Bosas take their value very seriously. If there's one family that could hold out into the regular season, it may be the Bosas. And Diana Rossini, who's now with The Athletic, she put in an article recently saying that a source texted her saying that the Bosas do not budge, and they absolutely shouldn't. So if I had to guess, I feel like Bosa's going to miss week 1 against the Steelers.
Woof. Bosas don't budge. Neither does Jordan Deany with his NFL news, and he joins us now.
Well, something that budged, and that was Travis Kelce's knee. So that budged. I don't know how much he'll be available on Thursday, but, for the short term, who steps up in this offense besides Mahomes? Because they've always had him there. I think he's played every game. Mahomes been a starter but one. And then I think you had my man there on the outside, so who's now with the Dolphins. So what do you think is going to happen here with the Chiefs, and who steps up?
Yeah, unfortunately, Travis Kelce's knee budged in the wrong way, right? And thankfully, it's not a long-term injury, according to reports, but it does sound like his status for week 1 is in doubt. I would imagine when that official injury report is posted in the coming hours that he's going to be officially listed as questionable. But if I had to bet my bottom dollar, it seems more likely that he will not play. And this is where it gets fascinating, because Travis Kelce is undoubtedly the number 1 weapon on Kansas City's offense. And this is somewhat of a new-look offense, right? I mean, they lost their offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy. I do understand that this is Andy Reid's system, but you look at the wide receiving core, it's wide open. It's going to be competitive for these guys. I mean, they've got Sky Moore, they've got Richie James, Kadarius Toney, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Rashee Rice, Justin Ross. It's wide open for any of these guys who are all fighting for reps and touches in this offense. And Patrick Mahomes is going to be looking to these guys instead of Kelce early and often. So I think what's fascinating, if you're a Chiefs fan, that is, this is a great chance for some of these young wideouts to help establish a hierarchy among themselves for who's going to be the new number 1 for Patrick Mahomes.
Well, how do you see this matchup, turning out here? The Lions, a lot of, conversations about them making the playoffs and everything else, man. Could this be a statement game for them kicking off the season?
Yeah, it absolutely could be, especially without Travis Kelce in the mix. And apart from, being the number one weapon, I think Travis Kelce is one of the best red zone weapons as well. So that's something you have to take into consideration when it comes to the total, when it comes to the spread, things like that. But the Lions are, they have a lot of hype around them for good reason. Jared Goff has been playing some really good ball. They've got this new weapon, Jahmyr Gibbs, who is not a running back. He's more classified, according to reports, as an offensive weapon. So I'm very excited to see what that's going to look like on Thursday night. I think the Lions also, you have to keep in mind that they have one of the more underrated offensive lines in the NFL as well. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is arguably a top 10 wide receiver in this league. The Lions defense has certainly been their downfall over the past couple seasons, but they've made some additions, and guys like Cam Sutton, a VFL, Emmanuel Mosley, another VFL, C.J. Gardner-Johnson on the back end as well. So, yeah, Detroit, there's good reason that they have hype around them. But, marching into Arrowhead, especially week one, primetime game, is definitely a tough task for any team. Now that the line has fallen from 7 points to 4.5 points, I have no idea where I'm going to put my money. But, there's no doubt that the Chiefs are on upset alert without Travis Kelce.
All right, we got to talk about yours truly. Tighten up, the Titans versus the Saints. How do you see this matchup? At least looking at it from the lens of the Titans with their shot of winning this game. What do they have to do?
Man, I'm excited about this, and you have to keep in mind that Mike Vrabel is an underdog. That should raise some alarms in your head, right? Mike Vrabel is 20-20 straight up in his head coaching career as an underdog. That's tied with Mike Tomlin for the best outright record as an underdog by any head coach in the NFL since 1970. Additionally, the Saints have not been very good in week one. They're 2-7 against the spread in their last 9 week one games. So a lot of trends are pointing to the Titans at +3. Now, when it comes to the matchup itself, I think that this game could come down to which defense is better, right? The Saints had the number 2 pass defense last year, while the Titans had the 3rd worst pass defense. But come on, I'm way more interested in the offenses when it comes to this matchup. Here it is, the debut of Tim Kelly's offense. How much is DeAndre Hopkins going to get the ball? He averaged over 10 targets per game in the 9 games he played with the Cardinals last year. If you were curious, A.J. Brown averaged 7.8 targets per game in his final 2 seasons with the Titans. So the workload between Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins is something we're all going to be watching. But on the flip side, I'm intrigued by New Orleans' offense as well. What's the Derek Carr effect going to look like? Is he going to be Matthew Stafford with the Rams, or is he going to be Matt Ryan with the Colts? You look at his weaponry with Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Jamal Williams, Jawan Johnson's a prospective breakout tight end this year. New Orleans is the favorite in the NFC South for a reason. So I'm excited to watch this game. I think it's going to be a close game, and that's why I'm leaning towards taking the Titans with the 3 points.
There you have it. Jordan Deany, NFL writer for CBS Sports.
So, JD, former Titans number 2 quarterback Josh Dobbs is now the number 2 or the number 1 quarterback in Arizona. And back here in Nashville, we still don't know who the number 2 quarterback is. There's lots to unpack there.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad you brought up the Titans backup quarterback battle, because I wrote just one piece after the Patriots preseason game, and it was a column saying that everyone's looking for clarity when it comes to the Titans backup quarterback battle. And what I wrote was that there is none, that this battle is not over. Mike Vrabel's not going to come out and name his backup. This is a competition that I think is really going to continue on the practice field. They didn't get a good look at Will Levis. And unfortunately, that article had a shelf life of like 11 hours because Mike Vrabel came out the very next day and said exactly that. So I was glad that I was on the right track with my thinking. But as far as Josh Dobbs goes, it's a report. It's not an official decision just yet, but it's something that does not surprise me. I totally assumed that Dobbs was going to be trotting out the Arizona offense week one against the Washington Commanders in front of a sold-out FedEx Field. It's a lot easier to go to the rookie Clint Tune than it is to go from the rookie to the veteran if things go awry with the offense. So they traded for Josh Dobbs for a reason. He's going to get to start week one. That's something that didn't exactly shock me.
Did you have UFOs from Aaron Rodgers on your final grocery list from the final episode of Hard Knocks this year?
It sounds kind of on par, right? That doesn't sound very surprising.
I was not surprised at all that he's seen a UFO.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I have not seen a UFO. Have you guys seen a UFO? I feel like Blaine's got a pretty good UFO story.
No, definitely not.
So, no, that's not something that surprised me at all.
I have seen some interesting things out in the country, though. I'll tell you that. Jordan Dajani, CBS Sports, our guest here on Blaine and Mickey. Same time every week.
Well, what I'm looking forward to seeing, by the way, is Joe Burrow and how big his pockets are going to get.
Yeah.
Kind of give me a range, Jordan, of where this is going. Is he going to be the highest paid quarterback in the one to be close? And that's what Mahomes and the Chiefs are waiting on, just so they can give him another, a little bit of patting in the pocket and then trade Chris Jones.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you kind of brought up Mahomes right there, because a lot of people are assuming that he's going to get a restructured contract with more bonuses at some point in time. Now, when that comes is anyone's guess, and I think that this whole Chris Jones situation is something that stopped that from maybe coming to fruition, right? And yeah, you're right. Joe Burrow is absolutely going to be the number one highest paid quarterback in the NFL, in NFL history. The last I checked, looking at SpotTrack's market value, it was something like $53.7 million, $322.6 million total. I would imagine it's even higher than that, though, because we all know that Joe Burrow, this has been in the making, right? It's been coming, that Joe Burrow is going to absolutely shatter the market. Now, when it comes to what I gave you some projected totals, but I'm definitely really interested to see how the contract is going to be structured, right? Because we saw how the contracts have been structured with guarantees with Lamar Jackson and with Justin Herbert, but we've also seen what Patrick Mahomes went through, and he was able to spread out his cap hit by using these escalating bonuses every single year throughout a 10-year contract. So things can be structured in different ways. And anytime we're talking about a superstar talent at the most important position getting a new deal, it's going to be worth keeping an eye on not only the totals, not only the guarantees, but how the deal is structured as well.
Well, now it's the in conference there with the Titans, AFC South. The Texans play at the Ravens. The Ravens got all this high-powered offense, new coordinator, and the Jags versus the Colts and Mr. Do-it-all everything, Anthony Richardson. Which one of these two rookie quarterbacks will get a win this week, if either?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, with C.J. Stroud, I think you have to keep in mind that he's playing behind an offensive line that's missing, 3 out of the 5 starters to start off the season on the road against the Baltimore Ravens. There's a reason that this is the biggest spread on the board in week 1. So, yeah, I don't think C.J. Stroud has an incredible chance at winning his first NFL game. But when it comes to Anthony Richardson, I mean, this is a tantalizing talent. I cannot wait to see how Shane Steichen's going to utilize this guy when he's playing his first game that's meaningful football in the NFL, right? And he's playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I think you guys have to keep in mind, while the Jaguars are the favorites in the AFC South and they seem to have this loaded offense, they didn't really do anything on the defensive side of the ball this offseason. In fact, I think they lost more pieces than they gained. So one of the big questions I have for the Jaguars this year is, can their defense not let the team down as a whole? This spread is at 5 points right now. The game's going to be played in Indy. I don't think that I'm going to take the Colts to win straight up, but at 5 points, you can convince me to lean that way. I'm very intrigued to see how Anthony Richardson looks against this defense that lost a couple of key parts this offseason.
Well, lastly, we got to talk about the Cowboys. Jerry Jones came out and supported Dak Prescott, but under the radar is Brandon Cooks' addition to their team. But I'm sure hope for Cowboys fans that Daniel Jones doesn't outplay Dak Prescott in his first game. What's going to happen?
I gotta be honest with you, Blaine. I think that the Cowboys are absolutely on upset alert against the New York Giants in New York. I mean, one of the best calls I've ever had on your show was telling you guys that the Giants were going to upset the Vikings in the playoffs in Minnesota. And I might just go right back to Big Blue. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys are working in a new offense that's going to be more relying on the run and Tony Pollard, right? But Dak Prescott is entering a huge season. He's had a lot of pressure put on him from his owner, even if he wants to come out now and back him. So I'm intrigued to see what this offense is going to look like. But you bring up Brandon Cooks, and I think that's a good guy to bring up because he's someone who, for his entire NFL career, he's been under the radar, but he's been productive every single place he's gone. So if Michael Gallup's not going to be your solidified number 2 weapon on the outside. I might be able to beat Brandon Cooks. Jalen Tolbert.
All right, we seem to have lost JD. He was eaten by a robot there.
Yeah,
A UFO.
It was a bot. Oh,
100%.
nice call.
I
right
blame
there.
Aaron Rodgers for this.
Oh my.
Yeah, he's out there in the
bot got him.
interweb somewhere. Yeah, that UFO got him. And by the way, if you haven't seen the clip, it's everywhere. Aaron Rodgers, I guess, doesn't have much of a role in the final episode, but he was. Hey, the UFO that Aaron Rodgers saw just took you away in your phone, JD.
I'm back. Did the UFO get me? Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. It just got super robot-y, but I think you're back now as a non-robot. Yeah.
I think your earpiece got low.
Perfect. Yeah, sorry about that. Technology is technology sometimes. But, yes, I think that the Cowboys are a team to watch. Brandon Cooks is a player to watch, but I think you could say the same for the Giants. I'm kind of excited to see what Brian Dable can do in year 2.
Hey, on the way out, what is Sean Payton doing with Russ? Telling him, to focus less on Russ, Inc., and all this stuff. I mean, he's standing right up to this dude.
Sean Payton, yeah. He was reminding Russell Wilson that he's not running for public office. That was a pretty funny quote from that ESPN piece. If you haven't read that, it's pretty entertaining. I tweeted out or X'd out a quote about Sean Payton giving this guy an evil glare for a year and a half because he was convinced he was an NFL spy when really he was just the independent concussion doctor. So pretty funny piece about Sean Payton. But here's the thing. I mean, Sean Payton knows what he's doing, and he's trying to install the culture that he wants his new Denver Broncos to be about. And that's going to come with some harsh criticisms for not only his own front office, but his quarterback as well. So the Broncos are definitely one of the biggest headlines of this 2023 season. And Sean Payton is just a man on a mission. So not surprised to see quotes like that really come out about his quarterback.
On the way out, what NFL quarterback starts the season with the hottest seat? To start the season, whose seat is the hottest?
Ooh,
NFL
that's a good question.
Coach, not quarterback. Sorry, coach.
Oh, coach. Yeah, I mean, how about Josh McDaniels out in Vegas with the Raiders? I don't know if you guys saw this situation with his pass rusher, Chandler Jones, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
Chandler
we don't
Jones.
know if
What's
he's
going
going to
on?
Yeah, it was. We probably don't have time for that entire situation, but he was going off on social media, and he was talking about how he doesn't want to play with Josh McDaniels or for the general manager, Dave Ziegler. So I think if you're picking one coach that is on the hottest seat entering this year, you have to go over to the AFC West and look at Josh McDaniels, who blew a lot of double-digit second-half leads last year, and it seems like things haven't really gotten better this offseason. So hopefully Jimmy Garoppolo, his new quarterback, can really up the offense to a certain level. But Josh McDaniels is definitely on a hot seat to enter the season.
No doubt about it. We'll see if Jimmy G can finish the season as a starting quarterback, because that's definitely been an issue at other places. But I guess before we let you go, NFL MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, we got to get your prediction.
Yeah, as for MVP, I think Joe Burrow is the guy I'm leaning towards. But if you want a long shot, I'm putting some money on Tyreek Hill because he thinks he can get to 2,000 receiving yards. So if one of these quarterbacks doesn't play on an MVP level, which, again, it's a quarterback award, so don't be shocked. But I'm putting $5 or $10 on Tyreek Hill to win MVP. As for Defensive Player of the Year, I'm going with one of my favorite players in the NFL. And believe it or not, he plays for a defense that's not very good as a unit, but this guy's an absolute superstar. He plays defensive end for the Las Vegas Raiders, and that's Max Crosby. I think he is set up for an incredible season. He's not only good at pursuing the passer, but he's good at getting in quarterbacks' heads. He's very confident in run support as well. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the NFL, and he might have a chance to up those sack totals to be near the top of the league and have a chance to win that award as a sleeper.
Yeah, love that pick, man.
JD, good stuff, man. Next week we'll be talking about actual games, not just speculating stuff. At Jordan Dajani on Twitter, CBS Sports. Tons of great content there. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it, JD.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir. We've made it. We've made it to football season. And he's alive and wasn't eaten by robots. All right. Did robots eat any of the Titans, or did everybody practice during a game week? What happened on the practice field today? We will tell you next. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Big money. Big money. We'll tell you in just a second what the big money is going to. But this is from Jimmy Wyatt. All Titans were spotted during the stretch period of Wednesday's practice, including edge rusher Arden Key, who missed some recent work, supposedly with a calf. He didn't say that. I'm saying that. That was what people were saying. Edge rusher Harold Landry was on the field for stretch, but did not take part in the open portion of practice.
Huh? What does that mean?
He didn't miss anything all. I don't know. That's what he said.
Oh, man.
He didn't miss anything all during the preseason. Nothing. Never missed.
Crickets.
Yeah. Crickets.
What?
It's just what he says. The injury report should be out in 11 minutes and 12 seconds.
Right when we get off air,
100%.
right?
Yeah, 3 o'clock.
Yeah. So, and then I have to wait till I stop. So I'll find out like at 3:40.
Right. When you get home, you'll find out. But like here's Traylon Burks, interview with him. I feel great. I'm going to keep doing exactly what the coaches and everybody has me doing. We'll see from there.
Oh, well, that's great.
But the first injury report, again, will be available in now 10 minutes and 43 seconds.
Maybe it was a rest day.
Maybe.
But they had time off.
Yeah.
Well, with time off. It's just that extended period of time. Let's just say that before they played the first game. And he played his first game in the preseason, right? And
he did play.
Fine.
Yep.
He didn't even have a brace on, just like practice.
All the things we've been talking about, that he has been practicing every day and not wearing a brace, and then he played in the preseason, and then today
Yeah, and that's why you want to get that kink out the way to see how it holds up. And didn't even play a full game either, by the way. Dang. Woo. Well, that's why you got Key. So Key calf better be okay.
Yeah, spent money on depth. Travis
got to
Gibson,
Chicago.
get out there and
Chicago
chase people around. Oh, no, that defensive front's got some depth now. I wish they'd spread some of that depth around.
Yeah, the other position.
Wish they'd spread
like
the
offensive
O-line. Yeah.
Boy, that's where I first go. Ooh-wee. Be wrestling. Them Saints going to be hunting. They defense hunt. I mean, woo, they get out there. So I need to go watch their defense.
Cam Jordan has been so good for so long. I think people just forget about him.
Oh, they forget how good he is, though.
Yes.
Well, that he's going to be a Hall of Fame type player. Because his father played for the Vikings, right? People forget Steve Jordan. That was his dad. Played tight end.
Yeah, I remember Steve Jordan.
For the Vikings back in the, I want to say 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's his dad. I'm pretty sure it is. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lucas. I know you were just born in.
And I know it seems homerish when I talk about him, but Demario Davis, who's a fantastic football player, got mentioned by Vrabel today and got mentioned by Deuce McAllister and gets mentioned by everybody.
You are right, Blaine.
Yeah.
Steve Jordan.
Yep.
Steve Jordan was
number 83.
He was a good football player.
Yeah, I was a big had this book I used to read on great running backs. I thought I was going to be a running back because that's what I was. And Foreman was in there.
Chuck Foreman.
And so then I started watching the Vikings. They had all the great running backs, Dorsett, whoever else was during that era. So that's how I remember he was on that team. And I looked him up, Cam, and I was like, oh, dang, this is his son. I had no idea until I read up on it.
Steve Jordan, a 7th-round pick out of Brown.
Woo!
In the Vikings Ring of Honor.
Oh, I did not know that. I did not
know
Chuck
Foreman.
Yeah.
You ever watch any Chuck Foreman highlights, Lucas?
But that's back when they had Fran Tarkin, so I was really young, but I was reading all that stuff up there.
Chuck was
Walter
Mr.
Payton.
Spin Move. He'd get out in the open field and he'd get to spinning and turning.
Yeah, I know that. I never became a running back that was a spinner.
He spun. Remember that?
I
that gets you knocked that blank out.
I did
no problems for him.
I was more of hoping that I was going to be a Tony Dorsett, Walter Payton type guy.
I would have never
never reached those claims.
Well, who did though? I mean, that's two of the best who ever did it.
But those are the guys I was watching.
Were you watching Nick Bosa?
No, I wish I would have been because I'd asked him to give me a loan. This is the family in general, man. Let me get $100 million a loan.
5 years, multiple people reporting this. Schefter, rap sheet right here next to each other. So his agent must have sent the message to everybody at the same time. 5 years, $170 million. Schefter says 122.5 guaranteed. I did the math. 170 divided by 5, 34.
Woo!
34 million. And
Chris
the number
Jones
to beat
is not going to get that.
31. He's not, and he's going to be pissed.
And you know why he's going to? Well, first of all, he's not a true defensive end. He does play defensive end at times, but he's really a D tackle. So he wants to just beat Aaron Donald's number, who got it, 2 or 3 years ago?
Yep.
Which is 31.
It was 3 years, 31.7. I'm
going to make a bold prediction. The Chiefs trade him.
Oh!
Somewhere.
Oh, come on.
And then they give Mahomes a new contract, him and Travis Kelce. They give him extensions.
Man.
Andy Reid does not play. We love you, but you got to go. You only play when you want to play. We play all time, every day. Then you see Mahomes in them preseason games, bro. 1, 2, and 3. And that means it's time to go.
Because 1 to 3 is over, and it's time for 3HL.
So in the meantime.
In between time. Peace.